Is it, you know, am I still the same person I was yesterday? Is the ship the same thing that it was when it was reconstructed? But maybe something to consider, and I, you know, can't really go on, but is to think of a multiplicity as opposed to a singularity or wholeness. So if we are multiple selves, if we are multiple people, what is that premise? What consequences does that premise have in thinking about artificial consciousness? Because I think we presume, or we're functioning under the presumption that the striving for artificial consciousness is going to be this sort of coherent, whole entity. But if we ourselves aren't whole, but are fragmented, and again, this touches on a number of things that was brought up already, how does that resituate the dialogue and our conception of what we're conceiving artificial consciousness to be?
Okay, great point. Let me just circle quickly through something that I'll develop in greater detail later. It's on the right side of this PowerPoint slide. And one of the essays that I've placed on Canvas for you, it's the one by Harrison Hall. And it might be actually the first one that you'd want to read. It's called Intentionality in World, Division 1 of Being and Time. Harrison Hall is trying to kind of find a quick and easy way into grasping the sort of expansive nature of Heidegger's thought. And he says that when it comes to thinking, we ordinarily operate fairly comfortably at these first two levels. So just imagine I'm passively observing an object, and I'm thinking about what it is. Okay? So this is often the position from which we think about things and objects and computers and machines and people, right? I look at a person and I say, is it conscious? Well, I'm having a conversation with it. I have a belief that it's a person, right? Blah, blah, blah. So when we're having those kinds of conversations, we're operating at this level. But let's say instead of trying to have a conversation with that other, I throw it a ball, right? And we just say, can I play catch with the computer, right? I mean, I believe I'm playing catch with the computer, so I believe people that play catch are human. So I think so this is a different approach. This is a different way of thinking, right? And it's often associated with a certain kind of American philosophy that we call pragmatism, okay? Now, what happens with Heidegger's thought is he wants to get down to a further level of thinking that he calls primordial intentionality without subjects or objects. So there are subjects and objects involved at these two levels. But when we get down to a deeper understanding of the conditions that make us whatever it is that we are, that allow us to participate with other beings in this vast cosmos that we find ourselves wrapped up in, right? Then we have to find a way of articulating a perspective or a way of thinking that will allow us to think without positing subjects or objects. And so we're going to be working with this. How am I doing on time? Do you have time?
You go about 3 or 4 minutes.
I'm gonna stop right after this. Now let me just formulate 3 kinds of questions that'll indicate the differences between these levels. Okay, and you'll start to see the difference. The third one will be the most difficult. The first question, when we're thinking from this point of view, we're actually usually asking this question: what is consciousness? What is a computer? What is life? What is non-life? What is the inorganic? Okay? So typically, from this perspective, we're asking questions in the formula, in some variation of the formula, what is X? From this perspective, from the middle one, when we're asking questions about something, the question might go something like this: what does it mean to have an experience with a person? What does it mean? So the question here isn't exactly about what something is. It's not asking for definition. It's asking for description. Tell me what it's like when you have a conversation with your boyfriend or with your girlfriend or with your mother or your father. What does it mean to have an experience with a father or with a mother, with a child? Okay? The third level of questioning is a little bit different. It's a little harder to grasp, and I don't have a lot of time to go into it, so I'll just formulate it very quickly. It goes something like this: what conditions have to pertain in order for there to be such a thing as a person, a conversation, a game, an object? What are the conditions that have to pertain that will give rise to things like subjects and objects? Okay? And so we'll work with this paradigm, and the Harrison Hall essay basically tries to work with this structure, within this structure, okay? It's all yours.
You lost me with that last one. I'm gonna have to
It's a tough one. Yeah. Here's a quick example, right? You all have mailboxes. This is an example from Oswego. We all have mailboxes, right? And a tornado came by our house in Illinois, and the mailbox was mangled. So at what point is a mailbox no longer recognizable or serviceable as a mailbox? Okay? So what conditions have to pertain in order for there to be such a thing as a mailbox?
Okay.
Okay? At some point, the mail carrier is going to say, I can't deliver this letter. Right? Okay.
Still not quite getting that, but need to read that one. Okay. Now,
Oh, sorry.
just what we'd like you to start doing, obviously reading the novel, there are many, many files Patrick has put up in here. They're all under they're actually under the history of AI. There's a whole set of readings here. Now, what I intend to do is I will put them onto a page, so they'll be linked from a page. And as far as I understand, this reading explains which of these.
The first thing here that says readings for Trans-Humanism, brief overview, this gives you a little description of all of the things I put online. And I put an asterisk next to the ones that I want, that I'd like you to read, okay? But there are some things that, like, if you scroll down a little bit further, this is a very simple lecture on the difference between calculative and methods thinking. But this, that's fine. This one, I haven't uploaded yet. The one above it, the question concerning technology, it's there. I'm not requiring it. It's long and difficult and tedious. But if you want to know where I'm coming from, it will at least be there for you to read.
You shouldn't advertise something as long and difficult and tedious. You know.
It's a page turner. Huh? Just read the ones, yeah, start with the
Read
ones.
the ones you start. Now,
Okay.
now, the reason for reading these is what we're going to do. We are going to put you in small groups of around 3 or 4 people, and we want you in your groups to discuss, to decide on a question. We'll give you some example questions. We want you to decide on a question, and you're going to write a paper together on that question, and you're going to have different viewpoints. And you're potentially going to write this in the form of a conversation with each other. Now, it's not like a discussion post where you write and then argue. If you give us that, this is going to be a thought-out process. You're going to go back over it, refine it, write it in the form of a conversation, but as a dialogue. And you may add to it, reflect on what other people have said, change what you say, or perhaps write them as parallel companion pieces against each other, but you're going to work together in this. And this will be given out, okay? Any questions or comments on that? It'll be given out this week. It will be due around about March the 15th, so you've still got almost a month to work on it, okay? And what we'll do is we will sit in class and discuss the questions that you are attempting to answer and talk about them with you as well, okay? All right.